Hello everyone, Max here with Fiction Rant to bring you a follow-up episode to my Halo vs. Mass Effect matchup. In this section, I'll be giving my opinion on whether each side could actually handle the villains of their opponents. That is, could the UNSC, with the help of the Citadel Alliance, defeat the Reapers, and would the Citadel factions be able to defeat the Flood? I'll also give a quick alternate set of conclusions based on the Citadel versus the Loyalist Covenant forces. I'll start by giving some background on the existential threat of both universes, starting with Halo. The Flood is a species of parasitic organisms that can infect and convert any sentient life into more of itself. Why only sentient life? I don't know, but that's what the Halo rings were designed to wipe out, with the doing so of their food. In any case, flood forms vary depending on the that they infect, and, at least in the early stages of infestation, are fairly brainless. That all changes when they hit a critical mass where they produce a grave mind, which operates as a vast intelligence, making all the Flood all the more deadly and capable of taking over ships so they can spread further and customizing the able to shoot darts and stuff. Unit for unit, Flood really aren't all that dangerous, at least not in the games where, you're on just slaughtering them. The problem is they're nearly endless in number, so if you send soldiers to try to fight them, they'll more than likely just end up with more food. The Flood are enough of a threat that the Forerunners and the prehistory advanced humans couldn't actually beat them at all, so they resorted to building and using the Halo rings so that they could eliminate the Flood's food source, killing everything else in the galaxy at the same time. The Reapers from Mass Effect are basically the polar opposite of the Flood. They're artificially intelligent, machine-organic hybrid creatures that aren't particularly numerous, but each of them is a planet-threatening force to be reckoned with. They're heavily armored, have weaponry that can punch through basically anything we ever get to see in the Mass Effect series, and even have a sort of mind control power where just being around them too much will cause you to fall under their seemingly no matter how strong-willed or intelligent you are. And in fact, high intelligence is likely to make somebody unaware of the influence because they'll think they're too smart to get brainwashed. Reapers show up every 50,000 years to just purge life from the galaxy. Their motivations for doing so are pretty mysterious. There's theories, but in any case, the Mass Effect series takes place during one of those purges. So, the burning question: how would each side deal with each other's villains? Well, the Flood would be basically unaffected by adjusting the matchup and would be a scourge upon the galaxy for the Mass Effect factions, just like the Halo factions. It's possible that one of the factions could come up with a countermeasure, but even the Forerunners and ancient history humans couldn't figure that out, so I think it's pretty unlikely. Apparently the cure that the ancient humans came up with didn't actually work, so for anyone who's concerned about it, that's what happened there. So the Citadel factions, even united, wouldn't be able to defeat the Flood once and for all. As for Reapers versus UNSC and Sangheili Alliance, I actually think that the Halo factions would win that particular fight. The UNSC weaponry is just so absurdly overpowered. You have to remember that they were built around the idea that the shots, at least on the bigger ships and defense platforms, would have to be able to go through shields to be able to take out the ship underneath. Otherwise, you had to fire multiple times and refire a rate notoriously slow. The main thing that was working against the Halo side in the matchup against the Citadel factions is that they just don't have that many ships, nor do they have the industrial capacity to actually produce more very quickly. So while each ship would be a force to be reckoned with for the Citadel factions, the Halo ships would just get overwhelmed. Fortunately, for the UNSC in particular, the Reapers also don't have many units. The most we get to see in a single fight was 250 Reapers with their support craft, which was a heck of an armada for the relatively lightly armed Citadel forces, but the UNSC in particular just builds absolutely massive and powerful MAC guns into their ships. And the support of the Sangheili Alliance ships would be even better because, again, kinetic barriers and all Mass Effect-related defenses are significantly less effective against energy weapons. They're not ineffective, mind you, but their effectiveness is reduced, contending with ballistic weapons. So in such a fight, I think the Halo forces would significantly outnumber the Reapers, and their weapons being so powerful would, I think, just allow them to actually destroy the Reapers with far less effort than the Citadel forces require. Granted, they would still probably lose a few planets in the process because Reapers are scary and they would have to make a concerted effort to actually stop a planetary purge. A galactic conquest scenario involving Halo versus Reapers would be interesting since their mind control capabilities would certainly wreak havoc, and Reaper artificial intelligence is absolutely far beyond any AI, so it's possible they'd be able to turn the AIs against the UNSC, built-in protections or not. But the UNSC doesn't depend entirely upon their AIs, so should that start happening, they'd probably just isolate or shut them off during encounters like that. Basically, yeah, I don't think the AI would help that much in the fight. In fact, they'd probably be a hindrance, but the UNSC isn't dumb to get around that. Finally, I want to touch upon the matchup between the Citadel factions and the Loyalist. In short, the Loyalists would absolutely wipe the floor with the Citadel factions. Their ships are bigger, scarier, their preferred weaponry is extraordinarily effective against Citadel defenses, and, unlike the UNSC, they have ships to spare for a fleet battle or prolonged fight. They're also a bit trigger-happy with scorched earth tactics, so any war for attrition would get really nasty for the Citadel really quick. Mass relays in particular would not do the Citadel factions any favors. Even the Covenant, with their tendency to be adaptive rather than innovative, would be able to work out how to use the mass relays, and gaining access to the network would give them easy access to most of the more important Citadel worlds and facilities. It came up in the comments, so I'll note that you can't just disable a mass relay. Yes, they need to be activated when discovered, but that affects outgoing traffic, not incoming. If they didn't work for incoming traffic until activated, they'd be totally useless to the first race to find one until the second race found theirs and turned it on, giving a whopping two-way street to use. In short, you can jump to any relay you want. Doing so tends to be hazardous due to unknowns at the destination, so generally it's not. The Omega-4 relay from Mass Effect was a great example of this issue because you could use it all you wanted, but you shouldn't, because doing so will probably get you killed unless you send a special IFF signal first. This wasn't because the relay itself would kill you, but because there were a ton of hazards located around the relay which would destroy any incoming ship. The signal would protect travelers by just giving them more precise navigation data, allowing them to avoid the debris. Normal Mass Effect relays would just deposit you somewhere within about a 1,000-kilometer radius of the relay. Giving the Omega-4 relay the proper signal would tighten that radius significantly to make the trip safer. That's all that would do. But yeah, Covenant versus Citadel forces would be a bloodbath, and the Citadel would not come out ahead. Sure, the Covenant would still suffer losses, as I contend the Citadel weaponry would still work fine against shields and hulls alike, but all the energy weapons that the Covenant use would absolutely wreak havoc on ships and soldiers alike. And again, the Covenant has vast amounts of ships and soldiers to pull from. There isn't actually really an official count of how many ships they have available. They're numerous enough that in almost every engagement with the UNSC was outnumbered multiple ships to one. So that's part of the reason they basically lost every had. In fact, they have so many ships that they can afford to be kind of wasteful with them and not have a negative impact on their overall power level. And that's all I've got for this one. Let me know in the comments if you think I've missed something important, or if you think the Reapers would be just as overwhelming for the UNSC as they are for the Citadel. And until next time, live long and prosper, and may the Force be with you.